Learn English language with Manga Mmbagha. The present examination format in advanced level English has each paper divided into two sections. Short answer questions in section A and essay questions in section B. It is important to have a tutorial to understand facts about short answer questions and their responses. Let us begin. Advanced level English, examination questions and answers. Paper 1. Section A, short answer questions. It is primarily important to know what short answer responses are and what a candidate is required to do in this section. Short answer responses. Short answer responses are the answers that oblige, that is, force you to write brief responses to questions in your own words. You may incorporate information from your learning materials or other sources, but you must write in a paraphrase, that is, in your own words. How long is a short answer response? The examiner who is reading the short answer is checking the knowledge of the candidate against a standard response called a marking scheme. The short answer can vary in length, but ranges from one paragraph to 3 or more paragraphs depending on the subject matter, that is, about 100 to 800 words for short essays. Otherwise, short answer response format is always as follows. One thesis statement plus one form of support plus closing statement. That is, short answer response is what you argue for plus evidence or example plus closing remark or conclusion. Format of the questions. Short answer question format is as follows. Students have 4 short response questions to complete in about 15 minutes each. Responses are worth 10 marks for each question and take a variety of different forms, among which are the following. 2 different sources by early examiners with varying perspectives, that is, viewpoints or an event, a fact, or time, or period. Primary sources, which could be quotations, charts, maps, and so on. A simple prompt or identification question with no stimulus, that is, no motivation. Each question is broken down into parts, each part worth 1 mark. These parts vary in difficulty, ranging from recalling, application, and creation. Candidates may notice that some questions lead from lower level knowledge to higher level, while others are independent on their given levels. Noticing this is greatly important for the candidate to limit their responses to the requirement. How to answer the questions. Construct your short answer as TEA, which is a short form for thesis, evidence or example, and analysis. This means in the T, you make a clear statement of your thesis, that is, your proposition. At the E, you give your evidence or examples to support your proposed argument. Make sure the evidence or example is relevant and specific to your proposition or argument. For your specific evidence, say how and why the evidence supports your claim and give its relevance. Explain one example in depth, that is exhaustively, rather than a multiple of examples. For the A, offer an analysis to support your evidence or example. Make sure you strictly follow the following 6 instructions. 1. Put the answer in your own words. 2. Most candidates parrot some synopsises, that is summaries, from model exam question and answer reviews without establishing whether the questions were the same as the present one. Even when you believe the questions are like twins, give the present response in your own words. Also, avoid reproducing lectures or lecture notes and evidence. Be authentic, that is, faithful and trustworthy, as you avoid plagiarism. 3. Do not write any introductions because the space and time is not enough in this section. These answers are not essay, but short responses. Get right to the point. 4. Write incomplete sentences. Sentence fragments or bullet points will not be awarded. Common conventional abbreviations are admissible, that is, acceptable. 5. Stay within question limits. Avoid writing irrelevant points or statements. 6. Be careful not to write outside the permitted margins. For short response answers, do not write on to the next page. Do not roll words, that is, cut words at the end of a line. Where a word does not fit, skip and go to the next line. Question number 1. A. With vivid examples, explain each of the following terms as used to describe the functions of language. Roman 1, phatic function. Roman 2, emotive function. Roman 3, referential function. Roman 4, commissive function. And Roman 5, appellative function. Remember to write your responses showing each question section number. For example, 1, phatic function. Put the 1 in Roman and within brackets as it is given in the question. Roman 1, phatic function. The phatic function is the language function which keeps the networks of communication exposed. It is the function that establishes, extends, or suspends or terminates any kind of communication. For example, meeting someone in a bus, you greet the person, introduce yourself, and the person does the same. You become friends and share experiences, that is, establish and prolong. On the contrary, after the introduction, the person reacts and says, I know how spies begin their work. Stay away from me. This may terminate the communication. Phatic communion is important for the social being, but also for defense from those who stalk others. 2. Emotive function. The emotive function of language relates to the first interlocutor, that is, the sender or first converser, and may be exemplified by intonations and interjections, or change of sounds that do not change the denotative sense of the message being communicated, but add information about the converser's internal feeling or tone and might invoke, that is, appeal to, the mood of the addressee. For example, "Oh gosh, what a shame." This may render the addressee ashamed. Or, "Wow, what an elegant pose," which may make the addressee gratified. Roman 3. Referential function. The referential function of language communicates facts, ideas, opinions, as well as other intellectual notions. It is the function through which conversers learn from each other. For example, when one makes a definition, states a fact, or gives characteristics of something, for example, an asset is an item of property owned by a person or company, regarded as having value and available to meet debts, commitments, or legacies. Or, to construct a circle touching 3 points, join up the points to form two lines and construct the perpendicular bisector of one line, then of the other line. Where they meet is the center of the circle. Place the compass on the center point and adjust it to meet any point, then draw the circle. Roman 4. Commissive function. The commissive function of language is related to the speech act used by a converser to commit oneself to a future action, usually employing performative verbs like "I guarantee," "I swear," "I promise." For example, "I promise to pay you tomorrow," or "John vowed to retaliate." Through this function, conversers bind themselves to commitments to test their honesty and trustworthiness. Roman 5. Appellative function. Appellative function is focused on influencing the behavior of the second interlocutor, that is, addressee, and is therefore persuasive. It is also referred to as conative function. For example, "Betty Flora, come and sit here next to me. Look how lonely the sky looks. Blank." These words woo and encourage Betty Flora to obey the wishes of the other converser. Question B. Write a single terminology as used in language to refer to the meaning of the sentence provided below. Roman 1. A type of bilingualism where a person is more dominant in the first language than the second language. This is sequential bilingualism. 2. Other informal words and phrases that are used by a particular group of people and that other people do not understand where. It is argot or slang. Roman 3. Variety of English spoken by working class, especially in eastern part of London. A language of less important people. This is Cockney. Roman 4. Manner of speakers pronouncing situation, which tells us geographical area and social origin of the speaker. This is accent. Roman 5. John Aliniembarrass sana alipokataa kuniintroduce girlfriend wake. This is code mixing. Question 2. Briefly discuss the setbacks that have hindered the switch from English language to Kiswahili language as a medium of instruction in Tanzania secondary schools. Response. The Tanzania language policy states that English and Kiswahili languages shall be official languages and languages of instruction. However, all learning materials and texts in secondary schools are in the English language. Further, instructors, that is teachers, have been trained in the English medium. The former teachers have a pride in the English language and are not ready to change. This, together with lack of expertise in the field of translation, render, or that is melt down, the desire to switch from English to Kiswahili as a medium of instruction in Tanzania schools. Equally, all learning materials are presently in the English language, and there are not experts who are readily available to translate these into Kiswahili. Further, the exercise is expensive for a poor nation like Tanzania to embark on. Finally, there is a misleading cliché that Kiswahili has a lower vehicular load and cannot handle the scientific and technological terminologies in the learning process. The cliché is misleading because all languages borrow from others. Even English has borrowed from the Greek and Latin. The would-be translators of learning materials believe it is difficult or impossible to prepare learning texts in Kiswahili, which prevents the switching over. It is therefore advisable for the switch over to have a serious revision of policy which shall necessitate budgeting for preparing of materials and training of experts to translate and write materials in the Kiswahili language. Question 3. Despite the fact that Chinese has a large number of native speakers, but still is not an international language. Why? Response. Apart from a language having a large number of native speakers, for a language to be considered international or global, other factors have to be apparently present, including having a wide geographical expanse. Chinese may occupy a wide but compact geographical area and cannot therefore qualify in this aspect. Another factor is that an international language should be used by populations beyond the borders of origin and as a native and foreign language, which also Chinese fails to meet. Further, the language must have international or global political and economic influence over the speakers overseas. Chinese has no political influence abroad, and its economic influence is yet to mature. Lastly, the language has to have a great vehicular load to be extensively usable in science and technology across nations. Question 4. A. Transcribe the following words using IPA symbols. Roman 1. Education. Look at the transcription and make sure you copy down the symbols as they are provided. Make sure the transcription is between slash brackets. Roman 2. Slide. Look at the transcription and like in Roman 1, make sure the transcription is within slash brackets. Roman 3, skirt. Look at the transcription, copy it, and make sure that the transcription is within slash brackets. Pleasure. Look at the transcription again and make sure the transcription is within slash brackets. Roman 5, yours. Look at the transcription, copy it as it is, and make sure it is within slash brackets. B. Give out the syllable structure of each word in A above. Roman 1, education. Education. 2 syllables. Cation is 1 syllable because the second vowel is a short vowel, and therefore you cannot have 2 syllables in cation. It is cation. Roman 2, slight, 1 syllable. This is because there is only one vowel, which is a diphthong. Roman 3, skirt. Only one vowel and therefore 1 syllable. Roman 4, pleasure. There are 2 syllables, ple and ja. Roman 5, yours. Only 1 syllable because there is only 1 vowel. Question C. Determine the number of syllables in the words in A above. The determination has already been done in in B, but to complete the answer or the response, in Roman 1, education, 2 syllables. In Roman 2, slight, 1 syllable. In Roman 3, skirt, 1 syllable. In Roman 4, pleasure, 2 syllables. In Roman 5, yours, 1 syllable. Question 5a. What is speech? Briefly describe types of speech. Response. Speech is a way of making one's ideas public, sharing them with other people, and a means of influencing other people. It is used during modern times by many people around the world to spread their ideas and influence others through public speaking. There are 4 basic types of speech, including informative, persuasive, ceremonial, and extemporaneous. Firstly is the informative speech, which is the one that intends to educate the audience on a particular topic. There are many types of informative speeches, including speeches that describe the conditions of a subject and speeches that instruct the audience on how to perform an action. Secondly is the persuasive speech, that is a specific type of speech in which the speaker has the objective of convincing the audience to accept a proposition. The speech is arranged in such a way that hopefully convince the audience to greatly accept the expressed proposition. Thirdly, the ceremonial speech, the one that stresses sharing of identities and values that unite people into communities. These are the special occasions on which we celebrate and reinforce common aims, benefits, and aspirations. In many ways, special occasions are the punctuation marks of life. The speech may for the greater part be laden with the frozen style of language. Lastly, there is the extemporaneous speech, which is a limited presentation speech event based on research and original analysis. Extemporaneous speaking is a competitive speaking event in both high school and college forensic investigative competition. For question B, read the questions and write the responses, not forgetting the illustrations between brackets. Make sure you copy everything carefully, because this is how you should present your answer. Watch out, the next paper. Please be invited.